Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be going through what was, in the end, actually a horrific fantasy game. I mean, 14-26 score to 15-65 doesn't really show it in terms of fantasy, but I think it was more so the sharedness of this, and that we pretty much had everyone above sort of 40 or 50. I can just look through here. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 guys below a 50. I think this shows it. And then you have 14, 15, 16, 17 guys, 18 guys below a 60. So that really showed that it was just so many players just in the 60s and 70s and 80s that it really prevented the top guys going off. I mean, and then you also had Bontempelli just having a shocker, as well as English as well. You had, luckily for those that have Merritt didn't go off necessarily. Martin as well, for those that non-owners, he only went 85, so sort of a respite there. It was an absolute shocker. I mean, on the same front with Supercoach as well, it wasn't too good as well. But anyway, before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this recap. So, Trelaw 102, he tried his heart out, did really well once Sanders was off. We'll get into that story as well. So yeah, Trelaw 102. And yeah, 39-point last. Darcy, another really, really good game as a ruck forward. I wouldn't be grabbing him, to be honest with you, as I go here and I'll just pick him. I can actually go to here and pick out his stats here. Sam Darcy in 82 in Supercoach, really happy about that. But he had 13 touches, 8 marks, 5 tackles, 7 hitouts, 1 goal, 3 a little bit inaccurate. If he kicked 3 goals, 1 there, that's like a 110 in a 3 goals, 1 is 106 in fantasy, and probably a 95 to 100 in Supercoach. But yeah, only using the ball at what is this, the ball use or something? Let's just see. Just trying to pick out a guy that used it at 100%. Oh yeah, Sanders used it at 100%. So yeah, he used it at 46, was an absolute shocker, and that's why he got such a low score. That could have easily been a 110, to be honest with you, just looking at it quickly. But you can just see, even just ordering this by Supercoach, look at this. A 108 as the top scorer in the whole game. That was just horrific. So yeah, Darcy, 96, really good. I'm not going to bring him in ever just because he's a key forward and he's shown that he can have those down games, but going to take the score, obviously, in Supercoach. Libba, 92, basically collapsed in the last quarter because we don't know. It's said that this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a league investigation for the next 3 or 4 days. They've sort of ruled out concussion at the moment and said it's exhaustion, but we'll see the follow-up, I guess, with that. But yeah, it didn't look good. And either way, it sort of blends to the point of, why did you sub out Sanders? Because it sort of came back to bite him. If he was concussed, then it's bad on the Bulldogs medicals. If he wasn't concussed and he was exhausted, then why'd you sub out Sanders? Because that extra inside mid would have allowed Libba to play well and wouldn't have meant that he was exhausted in the last sort of 5 minutes. Drea 80, Bramble 80, McRae 78. This is what you sort of don't want to see, and this is probably the problem, is that Bramble and Drea were 2 of the highest scoring ones for highest scoring players for the Western Bulldogs. You really don't want it in their hands terribly much. McRae 78, Johansson, 78, Richards 76, Hugo Hagen 76. English somehow scraped his way to a 68 after one of the worst first halves that I've ever, well, it's just first quarter in general, a 6, then a 28, 21, 13. He scraped his way just by getting, he got like 7 marks or something like that to get himself to a 68 here. You can sort of see it here. 13 touches, 7 marks, 2 tackles, 16 hitouts, 3 free kicks against. I am so glad that I went with Marshall on both fronts, as English is having a shocker. And I know they're projecting that he'll sign for the Bulldogs again, but I would be honestly shocked with the way that this is going. Norton 63, West Williams, and then Bontempelli. He was actually going all right. A 23 second quarter, it was all right, and then he had a kick early in the third that I thought, oh, he's going to get a kick here into another kick into a goal. He missed the soccer. If he'd gotten that secondary soccer, he would have been on he would have been on, what's that? He would have been on 46, like a minute into or something, or maybe even further up. 37 it looks like. So he was on 37, he was on 40. He would have been on 49, sorry. He would have been on 49 with a minute into the third quarter, and he would have looked fine, to be honest with you, but then he didn't get that, and it basically went downhill from there. After the 10-minute mark in the third, he did absolutely nothing. This is one of the worst second halves that I've seen from a primo in 16 points and a half, basically. And you can effectively say 7 points in 50 minutes. So, yeah, he did nothing, maybe even 55, 60 minutes almost. So, yeah, he just did absolutely nothing. And it sucks. Obviously, it does suck. As the gap between Bont and Merritt was only like 63 points. I put up a tweet about this, 63 points before the game. It wasn't actually that bad of a gap. Whereas now we're looking at a gap of 118. It's still bad, but it's not... it is not as bad as what people are saying, given that... but it will be probably the Rosies that hurt, etc. Then we move down here. Karmas, Jones, Waitman, Sanders are 39, and he's probably gone, to be honest with you. He did all his work in the first in the first quarter. He was on 29, and then he just came on the bench and didn't play, basically. And some people were like, oh, he only had 8 touches. He only had 8 touches because he was on the ground for 63 or 60% of the time in the first half. He was the best player in the first quarter. Hands down, the best player on the whole park in the first quarter, easily. And and then he just didn't get the ball in the second quarter. He got 3 touches in the second quarter at 100% efficiency. Added another tackle on top of that. So he had 6 touches and 4 tackles in the first quarter, and then he had 1 tackle and 3 touches in the second, and then he gets subbed. I think that was just a really poor sub, and it came back to bite them as their midfield just got overrun because it was so exhausted, that midfield. O'Donnell, Gallagher, his cash gen is cooked, and then Bailey Dale is going down in price. And I wouldn't be touching any of the Western Bulldogs primos anytime soon, as their club looks to be an absolute rabble at the moment. Essendon, Dersma 124, he did really, really well and just is getting a lot of cheap marks, which is what you want on fantasy. And he's 124. I think you can almost give it another week just to see if he's going bang, 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 because he's a winger and you want that sort of consistency role, because he is going to be only a winger and a midfielder. And is he really going to be top 8? Because that's the point that you're trading him in for. And I sort of need another ton to back that up, I reckon. Caldwell, 108, Merritt, 104. I'm glad that he decided to slow down. He started out like a house on fire, and he slowed down a lot. Only, 34-60 in the last 3. So it just wasn't a good fantasy game for anyone involved. McGrath, 93. Nick Martin, 85. Had a head knock, I believe, as well in there. I wouldn't be surprised if it was this gap here in scoring. But he came off for stints, which was weird. What was his TOG? As his TOG was only 84%. It was at 93%. That's roughly what we expect. 84% ball use. But just didn't get the touches, to be honest with you. Only 25 touches, 4 marks. We are used to seeing him get around that sort of 7-8 mark. So just a couple marks short. Jones, 83. Langford, 83. Redmond, 83. Durham, 81. Stringer, 76. Heppel, Goldstein. Parrish is dropping quickly, mind you. He's now going to be, 74 off his break even. So that'll be probably 50k. So he'll be 860k. He may drop to sub 800. Mackay, Hobbs, Cox, Kelly, Draper, Gresham, Laverde, Davey, Hind, and Menzies. This was a short recap just because everyone had, and I'll say it like this, everyone had a middling score. All the sort of 60, 70, all the guys that are not really fantasy relevant basically made it so that everyone else wasn't fantasy relevant in this game. The only player there was no fantasy relevance, honestly, in this game. Merritt made a middling score, Martin a middling score. Well, Martin in 84, that's probably a down game anyway. Bontempelli had a shocker. So it was more so hope that you don't have anyone that had a shocker in this game. I'm lucky enough that I can at least try and loop a Lazaro or a Clark in for Sanders, which could be a 20 point potentially, but it also could go the other way. But I don't think Sanders will be best 18 with his 39 anyway, so might as well take the stab at it. But anyway, that is the video. This was just a really, really weird game. And yeah, Bevo did a Bevo. Basically, as simple as that. And I think the players are on the point of a revolt at this point. It does not look good for Western Bulldogs. Mind you, they don't even have their first round pick. McRae's probably gone at the end of the year. Bass is gone at the end of the year. And Tim English looks like he's going to sign. He could potentially be... He could also turn around and say, no, I don't want to sign at the moment. Let's leave it a couple of weeks. And then you also have Jamara Ugle-Hagan, who's getting 12-year deals at other clubs. So they could lose 3 or 4 of their stars in the next little bit. And like a lot of people are saying, they have a very big VFL underbelly at that club. So we'll see how that turns out in the next couple of weeks, whether he fixes that by putting Dale, McRae, McRae was playing Dale, and also the likes of Daniel back into the side. They need them off half back and drop the likes of a Bramble or Dreyer. But we'll wait and see on that one, or a Baker as well, because he wasn't too flash this week as well. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next recap, which will be the early Saturday game, which between GWS and Kilda, and then you'll have the other Saturday games as well, or 3 of the Saturday games on Sunday. They're recaps. So I'll see you then. Bye, guys.